see the record button.
There it is. It's recorded. She's supposed to be introducing us.
Hey guys, it's the two Poly Chicks, Tiffany and Cindy. And today, it's so crazy. Behind the scenes is always crazy. But today I want to first apologize to my co-host, Cindy, and our viewing audience. We had a live event on Thursday, which went completely off topic in the purpose of the intended conversation. And those who know me know that I'm always passionate, but never deliberately hurtful. So while my sentiment is the same, the delivery should have been in a more productive manner. That's the way I feel. And of course, I apologize to Cindy off camera behind the scenes, and we hashed everything out, but I wanted to make sure I made a public apology because it's never my intention to be disrespectful or hurtful. And also the conflict robbed our audience of the usual informative sessions, which we try to have. So full disclosure, that in the early part of the day, I had some hardships with a lot of people in my life. And it was just like, you know, when you get angry and you're frustrated, it comes out in unusual ways. And that was one of the ways that it came out. And we always attack those that are closest to us, right? So like I said, again, I just want to apologize to Cindy and to the viewers because I love you guys. I love Cindy, and it was completely out of character for me. So
well, we always fight, guys, but that was a little different. We fight all the time. We fight like, I don't know, little sister, big sister, little sister, whatever. We've been knowing each other a long time, and I don't question your motives. I knew something. I thought it was something else, but it was something else. But I knew it was something.
It was a lot of stuff.
It was a lot of stuff, but what I thought it was that plus other stuff, which I knew about. I knew about the individual things, but I don't know. I guess it's, you know, over time, you just learn how to cut things and just wait a minute, because we got things going on in our personal life. We're humans.
Yeah.
So, which is
and
actually
was, I need a moment. I need a minute.
You needed a moment. You needed a moment.
The thing is, people don't understand when we're live, it's all what we are at that moment. When we're taped, we've taped, retaped, and retaped a few times. Like, oh, this is not, I'm not in the, but when you're live, it's like, and everything just came out at that moment. So that's the reason I wore this shirt where it says "Me wrong, never," and it's a question mark. And sometimes, because we put out that, remember we put out that thing of the apology, and sometimes an apology is warranted, and that doesn't take away from strength or your anything. An apology is warranted. So when we say sorry, not sorry, it's in cases of someone doing something to you or unnecessary situations. But this was necessary, and I felt like it was necessary for me to issue a public apology because our viewing audience, some of our viewing audience, was witness to what happened. So that's
we love you, Tiff. And I, like I said, it's nothing I don't know behind the scenes, but I tend to can switch off for a second or two to get on camera, and my mood will shift as we start talking. But for you, your mood didn't. Your mood was just like, and your mood just wouldn't shift.
You know, people that know me, you know me, my baby mama, as I like to call her, she came on, she's like, what the heck?
Yeah. You were really off. You were really off, and I said it. But I thought when I said it, it was gonna erase it, and it just didn't erase it. There was nothing. And guys, she didn't want to do the topic, which is fine. There's topics we just don't want to be bothered doing. But she didn't want to talk about it because it's like beat to death. So I thought it was that, and then I thought it was something else that we had talked about the whole day. So it was those two things plus two other things that, you know.
Yeah. Whatever. So it was just, it was a train wreck, and we all have those days. And
we have them. I got stuff going on right now too, as you know.
Yes. So
I got some stuff going on.
The good thing is, if we went off the rails right now, we could record. We could record. So
she already told me, guys, I could flip the bleep out on her right now if I want to for what's going on. So wait a minute.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
but
we got some drama going on.
So today we are going to talk about COVID 1 year later, and like Cindy said, we usually certain topics we're like tired of talking about, like Trump, and certain things you can't. They're inevitable that we can't not talk about it. It's just part of what we do and how we do it, and we always get in the mood of things. Like you probably would never know that we're not interested in a specific topic. So that's how we present ourselves. But COVID 1 year later, what I can say. I know we talked about the initial shock of it. When COVID first happened, it was like, oh, we're going to be locked down for 2 weeks and, it's not going to be a big deal. I was at a restaurant the night that they closed the schools.
Oh, really?
And it was like, I was at a restaurant with another couple and I was like, oh, wow, they're going to be closed for 2 weeks. What are we going to do for 2 weeks?
2 years. We're going to do for 2 years.
Fast forward a year later, it was like that first month, we're like, okay, we're going to be locked down 4 months. Then it went to 3 months. And then 6 months became the complacency of it. Like, this is just not going to end anytime soon. So that's how I was feeling.
It was in March. Now, because I'm a hypochondriac, which I know you are too. Is my face dry too? It just feels like it's dry. Because she'll let me just be sitting up there looking like that.
No, I always I can't stop.
So I'm gonna put the screen on, but I'm still.
It looks great. You know what? I hate when people point stuff out because then now that's the only thing you
see. Wait, hold on one second.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to talk because it's still recording. So that initial shock, I don't know if Cindy can hear me, but that initial shock was like, oh yeah, it's not. Oh, okay, it's not gonna be what we think it is. And then once the time started going and the deaths started rolling in, we were like, okay, this is a real thing. It's really a pandemic and it's affecting people, not just other people, it's affecting our country, the people in our country. So we were kind of like, it was like an initial shock. And a year later, I feel like we're still going through part of it's our new reality, but it's still shocking that we're going through it.
People call me like a little paranoid. So like in January, December and January, I started having these bad dreams. And I told my family, I said, I think something's weird in the air. It feels like something's gonna happen. So we started having family meetings in January. And we made a list of things that we knew we should go see if we had, make sure we have our stock of things like food and all of that. And I bought, I don't know, 8 Lysol sprays. And I bought 3 things of bleach from Costco's. I was buying this stuff. And right after that, in March, sometime in March, they were like, we have nothing left. There's no more wipes in the store. There's no more sprays in the store. And I remember going, wow, I really literally caught the last. I know, right? Yeah, no, I took them all. Remember that guy? Remember those 2 men that they had to give the stuff back?
Oh my gosh.
They had like a whole warehouse and they started selling it to everybody. And the government came in and took it. And I remember that.
They were price gouging too. It was like
price gouging.
Toilet paper or Lysol. Lysol for one bottle was like $50. Like, really?
Even now, it's still, right now, Lysol is about $15 for 1 can. Or $8. Some of them is like, I have enough. And then when I would get on Walmart every single day looking for more because I'm one of those people that I start thinking, what if this lasts forever? Like, what if we really need this for? So I started panicking. So I could see the hoarding thing. I remember when, like you said, with the first cases, that dummy in chief said, oh, we only going to have 2 cases. I remember the dummy in chief said, he said, it's only going to be two cases. We only have 2. And so you were like, okay, 2. And then it was like Seattle, right? So you started thinking the distance between Seattle and New York, not that bad, right? Or Florida. So you're like, okay, it's over there, West Coast. And then next thing you know, it was like moving through the West Coast. It went like right over, then over, then over. And then I remember when we had the first couple of maybes. And then they were like, oh, it was fall. It was negative. It was negative. It was negative. And then I remember the lawyer was our first case that I really can remember. We had this lawyer and he was a teacher, a lawyer, and he had some kind of a school he went to as a professor at a yeshiva or something. And he wound up infecting several people, maybe even 100. And it was like his neighbor. It was like a lot of people had gotten infected because they didn't test him. Remember at first you couldn't get a test?
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think when Seattle happened, we didn't know the gravity of it all. And a lot of people really went untested and unnoticed. You're just thinking, okay, I'm a little sick, and they're passing it on. I know in January, Donovan was really, really, really sick. His fever was like 104, and he was out of school for almost a week. And it was just like, they tested him for the flu, which apparently is not the same test for COVID. And I was like, wow, this is different. Like it was just a different type of illness. And it makes you wonder when you think back, because another girlfriend of mine was sick around that same time. Like, was it already spreading and we just didn't know? Or
it was here since, it was probably here in November and December, because remember, especially New York is a hub. Travelers come from Europe, from Asia, from everywhere to New York. So I definitely, because look, Asia had it in October, November. So we definitely, I believe, had it. There were people that you see online that was like, I was sick back in November and the doctor couldn't find what it was. This, that, and the third. Also, I remember that we were told no mask, and we were told that you could get it through the spreading of coughing and sneezing. And then they found out later you could get it asymptomatically, you could spread it.
Surfaces.
And surfaces.
Surfaces are very minimal. I still wipe down most of my, high touch areas in the house. And like you said, I'm a hypochondriac. I never ran out of Lysol wipes or cleaning products or tissue. We've always had those things stocked up. So even now, it's like we have bottles of Lysol, we have bottles, just because that's how we've always been. So when we didn't run out to have to go find stuff. We were looking just in case we needed more, like you said, but it was never an immediate, oh my gosh, we're going to run out of tissue or we're going to run out of paper. So that wasn't my experience. But I know with the realization of the deaths is when I think it started becoming clear to people that we are really in a serious situation. And we were like, what do we do? So we started wearing masks. We started like not going out. We started just like,
Tiff, the mask thing never made sense to me. Me and my middle son, we would be debating over it. And I was like, I think we're supposed to be wearing a mask, but I'm a hypochondriac. So everybody's going to dismiss me. You're a hypochondriac. You're a germaphobe. But I was like, I just think it doesn't make sense that masks can work for a nurse or a doctor. And it can work for the people testing you, but it doesn't work for you. It doesn't make sense to me that and plus the second thing was when you look at China, when you looked at it on the news, people in China wear masks when they're not feeling well. They generally will wear a mask. That didn't make sense to me.
Don't you see them even in New York and Florida?
They wear masks.
Like, what is he or she wearing a mask for? Especially when they're traveling. Always. So
they wear a mask when they're in their country, when they're here, when they're going places, because New York is where, it's like there's Chinatown, there's Chinese people are everywhere. You see them wearing a mask. We will tend to say, oh, what you got? But no, they know that they can get something from y'all breathing, mouth breathing. So, and that's why theirs went. That's why they got theirs under control in less than 6 months.
Yes, they're having parties. They're like doing raves,
carnivals,
hanging out. We're stuck. It's so crazy. I went to, when you speak about the air and transmitting it, we were at a restaurant yesterday, and we don't typically go inside. We usually go eat out on the patios, and we were inside because there was only one other family that was there. This guy came in and sat. The restaurant is empty, completely empty. He comes and sits right at the table next to us. And what is he doing? Okay. No mask. No mask, and he wants to do nothing. Second sneeze. We're eating.
You got to the second sneeze? Wait, you got to the second sneeze?
Wait, it gets better. Then he blew his nose at the table, Cindy. At the table while we're eating. Yes, that's how we were just like, no way. Like, and even Donnie was like, what? An 8-year-old knows you're not supposed to blow your nose at the table. It was just like, okay. And I know it's hay fever season and, allergy season.
I don't care what the bleep.
I know that's probably what it was. It was just people can't call for sneeze anymore. Like when
you can't. You absolutely can't.
That's how we felt. Like,
no.
David finished his food in like 0.3 seconds.
0.3, I'm out of here. But you know what? You know when I really decided I was wearing a mask and I didn't care last year? I bought an N95 mask, guys. I bought 5. I had, when they were all out of stock, I found 6 of them.
Wow.
And I bought them. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I bought 12 of them. I bought for each of my I bought 2 for each of my family members, right? The adults. So I was like, I told them, I got masks, y'all. I got N95s. Let me tell you, one day I like doing my daily walk. I remember last year, it probably was like, I want to say March or April, I took a walk. No, it was probably February or March, somewhere like that. I took a walk. And like you said, soon as I got up on this guy, face to face, what he do? Achoo! I said, wow.
You're like, what the? No. That's fight. Wait, a sneeze or a cough is fighting words.
Yeah, that's accosting me. That's an assault. So I was like, you know what? From now on, I'm wearing a mask. And so I started wearing mine back in before they were saying, I just couldn't understand to me why you're telling me we shouldn't wear masks. It just didn't make sense to me.
But I think for the new disease, whenever there's something new, it's like they're figuring it out. So when people were like, oh, you know, I'm mad that they didn't tell us, or they told us this and then they told us that, we're all figuring it out as we go along. So if you feel like you said you should be wearing a mask and you think that's a good thing to do, then why not wear a mask? Why do you have to wait for someone to tell you to wear a mask But
you know what though? Part of it is definitely that it was novel, because at first we were calling it the novel virus.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that Dummy in Chief dropped out of the WHO or the world. He dropped out of that agency that was there to study it. And he also didn't listen to what he was told by China. So when people are blaming China, whoever's watching, you're blaming Chinese people for this. And what bothered me about that is that he's on tape as saying that president told me that this was really bad. He said, it's really bad. It's going to get out of hand. We're in trouble. He said, I didn't want to tell because I didn't want people to panic.
He didn't want people to panic, but he's like an alarmist when it comes to
he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind you doing a riot or rallying or killing or calling people. He doesn't mind any of that, but he doesn't want you to panic. So when people start blaming China, I just don't get it, because I'm like, if you were actually looking at China, they were wearing masks. They were building hospitals. They were spraying everywhere. They shut the city down. So even if you don't believe what they say, you should have been watching what they were doing. They knew how serious it was. So I don't understand how they're playing stupid.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if that guy was playing stupid, but that might have been his real thing.
Being stupid.
I think he chose the economy over lives, and that's the way a lot of people, like, instead of saying, hey, this is serious, let's buckle down, let's stop doing blah blah blah. What he did was he said, you know what, the economy has to stay open. He kept saying the economy, the stock market, this, and that's his number one thing he went for. So it was really, really crazy. Which I can give him the Operation Warp Speed, because that produced a lot. It got everyone on the ball rolling with creating a vaccine. So now we have what is it? AstraZeneca, Moderna,
Johnson and Johnson.
We have so many vaccines rolling out, and I know a lot of people are nervous, and we're always skeptical because of things that's happened with experiments and all of that other stuff. But I can say that my mom's husband had gotten his first vaccine. I have aunts, friends, and people that I know within the medical community have gotten it, and they're fine. Like my grandfather and his wife had gotten it a few weeks ago, and they're fine. So it's one of those things where it's like it's a personal choice, and I know we're gonna have Dr. Tiffany on soon to discuss that, parts of it, but it's a personal choice, but it's also one of those things where it rolls out really quick, and it seems to be a bit successful when you look at it.
When you do the final night, it doesn't look like as danger, but the thing is, it's just the unknown of who it's gonna affect, and so that's the scary part. You don't know if you're gonna be the one who has the bad reaction. So that's the same thing with the disease itself. Some people got it, didn't know they had it. Other people got it mildly sick. Other people got it really sick, but not gravely sick. And then other people gravely, and then other people die. So you just don't know which category you're in. The other things I want to talk about,
roll the dice and be like,
it's a roll of the dice. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I know we said we ain't gonna spend all long on this. I had taken Daniel out of school before they closed school because I just was looking at the kid. I was a map watcher. I was on Johns Hopkins just watching the map. I remember in the beginning logging it in my calendar, looking at the growth, trying to see the growth, because Johns Hopkins University is responsible for watching the pandemic over the whole world.
Yeah.
And so when you look on Johns Hopkins, you'll see all the countries, and then you'll see our country, then you'll see state by state. And so remember, New York got hit like a train wreck.
Yes.
And so, and I'm in the city, and there's out of 20 million people we have, 13, 14, or 15 million are in the city. Yep. So whatever it is, and we had a percentage rate of 10% or something positive. So the hospitals, I remember just the hospitals being overrun, just the, there's videos of people standing outside the hospital looking at those frozen trucks. Funeral homes were overrun. It was just very traumatizing. One of the other things that I just was thinking about was how my body has changed since the pandemic. Like, look at my hands now, guys. I mean, my hands are so ashy, and I have such this and this, just washing, just constantly. My hair, I can't get my hair did because I just don't want to go in the shop anymore. So I used to get her to cut it down and color it. And so I've been trying to do it myself, maintain it.
Yeah.
And then the hypochondria in me is like, I'll have to wash my hands. Then I'll cook my food. Then I'll wash my hands again. Then I'll put my food on my table where I'm going to eat. Then I'll go wash my hands again. And then I'll be like, did I touch anything? That all of this, and my food is getting cold. So now I have to go read my food again.
You're like, did I wash my hands? Did I wash my hands?
Meanwhile, Tiff, I haven't been anywhere. How about that?
Yeah. Well, we'll go out. Now we're out more than we used to be. We were in the house for months on end, and now we're going out a little more. And when we come in, like, you'll hear me. One day you heard me scream at Donovan.
Wash your hands!
He wanted to go upstairs to wash his hands, but he probably wasn't going upstairs to wash his hands. He was going to his room, and he didn't wash his hands. And the protocol, normal day, is get in there, wash your hands before you do anything.
Right.
That's
first it. At the door, at what we call at the door. Daniel, no, take your coat off outside. Take your shoes off outside. I spray my coat. Spray your coat. Spray your shoes. I spray it. I spray it. I spray it. I come in. Also, I'm wearing this shirt today because one of the things that doesn't get really acknowledged, well, it does, is the effect that it had on people that were graduating within this year and last year. You didn't get a graduation. You didn't get a prom. And that's a big deal for somebody that's high school graduate or college graduate, just didn't get acknowledged. And so I was wearing my St. John shirt today because it's spring break, right? So I said, let me just acknowledge it's spring break time. And, I know you live in a spring break town. So I know people are coming down there like there's no virus. But just the fact that the kids, remember last year's spring break, that guy got on TV and was like, I'm young, I don't care, I'm going to get it, who cares? He apologized later. And so the people now that are really affected, young people, your graduations, people that graduated from like medical school last year were put right in. Cuomo had gotten people that they didn't get their official certification, but they graduated. He was like, today you're a nurse. You needed staff. I can't hear you for some reason. You're mute.
You hear me?
You can hear me now. Yeah, I hear you now. Okay. So I was just saying, like, if you kind of lost the fanfare of high school, and my son was this year, he's graduating, he's going to high school, so he's graduating 8th grade. I feel man about the graduation. I'm like, but high school graduation and your college graduation
or college, that would have been kind of crazy, because then it's like, oh no, you're missing out on a milestone. So I understand that. I understand that 100%. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think the last thing that we talked about, which is where we went off the rails, and we're gonna just touch on the rhetoric of the slurs that were happening with the previous. Somebody calls him P45. I said that sounds like a malt liquor.
Cult, C-U-L-T 45.
You pointed out to me, because I was like, what I said was, I don't have a problem with it being called the China virus because of the Brazil flu, Brazil strain, UK strain, Spanish flu. Like usually they get that type of name, but I didn't realize, or there's a certain thing, like when you said the Africa virus. Africans, Chinese, they have a negative connotation. Like it's something about that specific group of people that it can be used as a slur. So if I was like, the intent of the China virus, if you're using it as that's where it came from, that's different than Kung Flu and Wuhan and all of those crazy names he kept coming with. So
it fed the monster. It fed the monster. Yes. It's just the same as back in the 80s. If you're in that age group and you remember when HIV first really started coming out, they blamed it on Haitians.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, where I was, it was a whole bunch of Haitians. You don't want nothing to do with them. You don't want to talk to them. They got HIV. And that's what HIV was blamed on Haitians.
Haitians and gay men.
Haitians, and then it went on to be a gay thing. So now the only time we feel they really start addressing it in the country is when stars started getting it. Rock Hudson got it. And then there was a few other people that had gotten it that was stars. And then they started going, oh, this is a real thing. But before that, it was ignored because it was gay people and supposedly African, some kind of a black, somebody in the black, marginalized
people. And that's where, and I feel like, and guys, stay tuned because we will have a complete episode on integration, segregation, and gentrification to address some of the things that we talked about, where, how the communities are affected amongst each other, like just the dynamics of the relationship between, let's say, Asians and Jewish people and Black people. We're gonna have
the communities, the communities. There is definitely. We're not saying the virus doesn't come from where it comes from, because China definitely does have a lot of production of this. It's just because of the way their economy works. Their economy is the wet market.
Yep.
That is what they do.
The proximity of how they are too.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know how many millions of Chinese people there are. But I know living in Brooklyn and I know living in New York City that we have a condensed amount of people, and you see what the virus did to us. But because they handled it so effectively, they didn't get what we got. They didn't get 500,000, 500 and whatever thousand, which I would like to say, we sorry for that. That's happened recent. That we know we're up to like 500 and something thousand. I remember when New York was losing 1,500 and 1,000 a day.
Wow.
I remember when the virus first really kicked in on us in April and May, when it was like, we lost 1,200 today. Cuomo's, his famous press conferences. Take whatever you want from him, whatever's going on with him right now. He kept people sane because he gave facts, he gave data. He gave, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. He didn't say it's only 3 people in it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Yes, he bungled the nursing homes. We're not going front. The nursing home issue and his current issues that he's going through right now, which have nothing to do with that.
That's separate. For sure.
Let me tell you, I'm a nutty person. If I didn't have him watching him every day, I don't know what I would have believed and thought. He was literally.
The whole country was watching him. We loved him.
Yes. Because he was just like, this is what it is, guys. This is bad. But this is what we're going to do, and we can do it. And he said, if you do this, this, and this, because New Yorkers are hard. They're going to be like, bump you, bite me. If you don't tell me the facts, and if you start, right now you see the country is in bad shape because we had a person that didn't do that. Yeah. So every state has something different.
Yep.
That they do.
Instead of coming together and saying, this is what we should come and work toward. It's, and 1,200 deaths a day, or the amount of deaths per day that we were hearing, is nothing to sneeze at. Remember how mournful we were for 9/11 when 3,000 people died?
2,500 and something people.
Yeah, 500,000 people. And we're like,
we thought it was going to be more. That's what he said. Like, it could have been more. It could have been worse. Man. It could have. Really?
It's ridiculous. But we touched on pretty much everything. Yeah. Like I said, I do want to say I had a bad day on Thursday, and I didn't go out and kill 8 people. Just saying, some people get a pass for having bad days and going out and doing certain things, and some people don't. As we know, it's clear, it's evident, and if it wasn't before, it should be now. He had a bad day.
I hope he actually is fired. I think they said he's either suspended, fired, or whatever. That wording, bad day. It's just like, and this we'll end with this. When I was teaching, the kids that would act bad, when you didn't properly punish them, what did they do? They came back and they acted worse.
Yep.
When you are permissive, he just had a bad day. He was overwhelmed. He liked too much sex, and he thought those people in the salons were this. When you make all those excuses for him, it's same thing like when those judges, there was a couple of young white boys that were on trial for rape or something, and the judge said, I don't want to ruin his life by convicting him like that. You continue to do that for these white men in this country, and and the crimes they commit are against white and Black women.
Yeah.
And women of color. And women that are minorities, as well as white women, getting raped, attacked, and the judge is saying, for the white male, I'm gonna let you off because I don't want my race to die. I don't want my race to go down. If I put you in jail, there's another white male not on the street because people of color are procreating beyond. They're becoming not the minority. If you put us all together, we're not the minority.
Right. And when you look at it, when you say, okay, he had a bad day. Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy that killed 2 people during some of the protests, he was
frustrated. He was frustrated.
And he was endorsed, or his bail was paid for by celebrities, celebrities. And it's like, well, wait a minute.
The president called him a hero. The president called him a hero.
What's going on here? So when we say there's a level of systemic issues, that it should be clear to everybody.
Yeah.
So
George Floyd's protest in the summertime during COVID, millions of people in the street during a pandemic tells you that there's an issue. The pandemic has exposed what was already there. People were home. People were able to watch TV, sit down, no working, no this, no that. So you had to see it on the TV. So that was another impact of COVID. It really enlightened people as to what's really happening in America.
Yeah. I like that. And on that note, we're going to end this episode. Thanks, guys, for watching. As usual, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at 2 Poly Chicks, and we're on YouTube at Poly Chicks. So always stay tuned. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.